Surviving the Applewhites, Chapter 24. Jake and Archie each managed to get hold of one of Wolfie's horns and together dragged the struggling goat out of the house.
"We were only hurting Hazel, just like you said,"
Destiny told Jake as he hurried alongside them toward the goat pen.
"but Wolfie got out too."
"I'm getting a padlock for that gate," Archie said. By the time they got back to the house, everyone except Randolph stood on the porch as Miss Montrose and Priscilla headed for their car. The yellow silk suit, Priscilla's white sailor dress, and her ruffled socks were stained with purple. "We're terribly sorry," Sybil was saying. "You'll be sure to send us the cleaning bill, won't you?"
No, that wasn't your fault,"
Mrs. Montrose said. Jake thought she was maintaining her calm with a supreme effort of will. There was an edge in her voice that bordered on the hysterical.
"Besides, nothing will take these stains out. We'll just...
Her voice dwindled and stopped. "My father will call you," Edie said. Govindaswamy's usually cheerful face was creased with a frown. "You didn't get your ice cream."
"Another time, perhaps,"
Mrs. Montrose managed to say as she got into her car and closed the door firmly. The rehearsal that night didn't include any of Jake's scenes, so when the others left for the theater or scattered to work on costumes or sets, he and Destiny helped Govindaswamy clean up the mess in the dining room. Afterward, Jake caught the butterfly, which Destiny had named Blackie, and tried to persuade Destiny to turn it loose outdoors.
"What if it rains?"
Destiny asked. "It won't. And even if it did, butterflies stay out in the rain all the time." Destiny, his lower lip stuck out and his arms folded firmly across his chest, shook his head.
"I want him to stay in my room tonight. Winston stays in your room. I want Blackie to stay in mine."
"He needs to eat. We'll have to put him outside where he can find flowers."
"It's dark outside. He won't be able to see them."
Jake remembered the website that had given the recipe for feeding butterflies. What had been in it? Soy sauce, he remembered. They had that, and milk. What else? Then he remembered. "Can't feed 'em," he told Destiny. "We don't have any Gatorade."
"We got Kool-Aid,"
Destiny said. "It isn't the same. Besides, Wolfie spilled it all."
"There's more. We can make more."
Sugar syrup, Jake remembered then. You could also feed butterflies sugar syrup. "We don't need Kool-Aid."
"What do we need?"
"Sugar and water."
"We got that,"
Destiny said. So, when Govindaswamy had gone off to do his evening meditations, Jake let Blackie loose in the kitchen. Immediately the butterfly fluttered to the floor. Winston's whole body went rigid, his ears up, his tail straight out behind, his eyes riveted on the butterfly's slowly moving wings. For a long moment he remained that way, so still he might have been carved of stone. Then he launched himself at the butterfly and pounced, his heavy body lurching into the air and coming down where the butterfly had been. Destiny screamed, "Eee!" Luckily, the butterfly had fluttered up toward the counter. There followed a skirmish, the butterfly landing on the floor, Winston charging after it and pouncing just as it flew up. Destiny yelled at Winston to stop, and Jake did his best to catch the dog's collar. But the awkward, ungainly dog, his hunting instincts fully engaged, had suddenly become a canine athlete. He leaped into the air, trying to catch the butterfly on the wing. Jake had just grabbed the net, hoping to catch the butterfly and get it safely away from Winston's snapping jaws, when it fluttered up toward the ceiling and then landed on the philodendron plant that hung by the window. There it stayed, opening and closing its wings gently as if the whole thing had been a game that it had easily won. Jake put Winston outside and put some water on to boil.
"Why are you making it hot? It'll burn Blackie's tongue."
"We won't let Blackie have it till it cools. Hot water will dissolve the sugar faster," Jake said. When the water boiled, Jake put a cup of sugar into a bowl and poured in some water. He stirred a while, then poured in some more. "I think that should do it," he said. Destiny frowned.
Blackie won't like that. Butterflies like flowers. This isn't pretty like flowers.
Destiny climbed up onto a stool and got a packet of grape Kool-Aid out of the cupboard.
We can make it purple. That's pretty.
Jake shrugged. If butterflies could eat soy sauce and Gatorade, grape Kool-Aid probably wouldn't hurt them. Destiny dumped the package of drink powder into the bowl and Jake stirred it.
That's good,
Destiny said, looking at the deep purple syrup.
pretty.
Jake nodded. Blackie will love it. Jake poured a little into a saucer and set it on the counter. Now that'll be cool in a minute and he'll come and sit on the edge and drink some, I think. They waited and waited. Blackie didn't move off the philodendron. Finally, Jake put his hand out in front of the butterfly, thinking he might shoo it off the plant and down to the counter. To his surprise, it stepped onto his finger. Gently and carefully, he moved his hand down next to the saucer, and the butterfly began uncoiling its long black tongue. In a moment, the butterfly stepped delicately off Jake's hand and onto the edge of the saucer, then stretched its tongue like a long straw into the purple liquid.
It's working! It's working! Destiny said. He's winking!
Jake could hardly believe his eyes. He wished he had Edie's camera. After a while, Blackie coiled his tongue back up and fluttered away from the saucer. He flew around the kitchen a couple of times and then landed on Destiny's shoulders. Destiny's eyes got very big and round.
Look, Jake, he likes me.
Of course he does. Now, if you are very quiet and walk very carefully, maybe he'll ride up into your room with you. He picked up the butterfly net, just in case, and followed as Destiny took baby steps out of the kitchen and up the stairs. 3 hours later, Jake was in the schoolroom going over his lines when Randolph, Edie, Jeremy, and Cordelia got home. Edie came in to see if any of the other butterflies had come out. She didn't believe him about Blackie and the Kool-Aid. "You'll see for yourself tomorrow," he told her. "Where's the butterfly now?" she asked. "Somewhere in Destiny's room." "Is Destiny asleep?" "He wasn't when I came down a little while ago. He was singing to Blackie. He says Blackie is the bestest pet he ever had, except that he can't pet him. I tried to get him to go to sleep about an hour ago, but it was no good. He's used to being up till rehearsal's over." "It's a good thing." "Why?" Edie sighed. "Dad's decided on the replacement Gretel." "Not Priscilla Montrose?" "This is Randolph Applewhite we're talking about here. Of course he's not going to use Priscilla Montrose. He's going to call Mrs. Montrose first thing tomorrow morning and tell her his choice. When she hears it, she'll cancel the show. He'd rather have a musical with good singers canceled than one with lousy singers that actually happens." "Who's he going to cast?" "Destiny." Jake felt his jaw drop. "He can't cast Destiny. Gretel's a girl." "He's the director, and he can do anything he likes. He's going to turn Gretel into a boy and call him Hans. Destiny's little enough to be cute, which is more than you could say about Priscilla Montrose. There's nothing in the script that can't work that way." Edie sighed deeply. "It won't matter, though. The whole reason Mrs. Montrose hasn't canceled it already, the whole reason she didn't get up and leave the minute she took a bite of Govindaswami's chicken, was that she thought her daughter was going to get on network television. The minute she finds out that that isn't going to happen, it will all be over." Jake felt his stomach clench. No! It could not be all over. Enough bad things had happened to him this year. He was going to do this. He was going to play Rolf. He and Jeannie Ing were going to sing their duet and dance, and he was going to kiss her. He was going to hold a gun on the Von Trapps when they were escaping, and to do all this he was going to cut off his scarlet hair and take off his eyebrow ring and all his earrings. "It's your fault," Edie told him. "You're the one who taught Destiny to sing. If he hadn't heard Destiny, He would have had to cast Priscilla. I didn't teach Destiny, I just sang with him. All it was practice. Maybe all of you can sing. The thing is, it doesn't matter. It's all over. Jake thought about what had happened ever since Randolph Applewhite had asked his family for help, and then he smiled. Little by little, he felt his stomach unclenching. Edie was wrong. How could she, an actual member of the Applewhite family, possibly think it could be all over? All of them, even the invisible Hal, had put their whole selves into the show by now. Not just family either. Bernstein, Govindaswamy. It didn't matter anymore that it was Randolph's show, that it was a project nobody else had wanted anything to do with. Everybody was involved in it now. And the way these people got involved was like nothing he'd ever seen before. They might moan and groan and grouch and complain about how much there was to do, but they put everything else aside and did it. Bashin, Govindaswamy had said. That was it. What the Applewhites did, they did with passion. They cared about the show now the way some people cared about flying around the world in a balloon or sailing across the ocean alone or climbing Mount Everest. She may cancel it, but it'll happen anyway. Some way or another, it will happen. You'll see. I'll make you a bet. Edie was an Applewhite after all, he thought. She knew better than to take the bet.